Hello to everyone. To start with this video, I'm going to say a brief introduction to biology, and also I'm going to mention some branches of itself, including its file of action. And I'm going to conclude this first part of the video with the interesting question of how did life originate on the planet? First of all, what is biology? Biology is a science that studies life in different standpoints. It starts from the structure of atoms and molecules to the development of populations. Now we will see the branches that conforms biology. Examples of these are anatomy, anthropology, genetics, embryology, biomedicine, among others. Thanks to biology and the new tools that we have created, we can add more branches to biology, just like the astrobiology. Biology helps us to understand the composition of genetic information from one living being to another. This is called genetics. This knowledge supports the idea that life has a common ancestor. Evolution started with the idea of the archaea, then the bacteria, and later the eukarya. Thanks to this new structure, the genetic material could be isolated from the rest of the cell. To finish with this video, let's think about how did life originate on the planet. For a long time, it was believed that we were created by a supreme being and we generated spontaneously. But the truth of all of this is that every living being is based on DNA and RNA. They are the ones that store information to create molecules and edit their modifications. Knowledge started to progress and succeed by establishing facts and principles that could be demonstrated, and other theories about life started to appear. Despite of what I said, we have not seen the end of this story yet. That's why it's very relevant to keep looking for the answer of this very interesting.
Today I'm going to talk about the characteristics of living beings. Organization. Life on Earth is characterized by being organized in levels. Nothing can exist or function without this complex organization. Genetic code. The genetic code is a sequence of nitrogenous bases that combine to produce words in a language understandable to all living beings. Response to stimuli. Living beings can respond to different stimuli, such as light, sound, temperature, chemical substances, among others. Homeostasis. Lead to the conservation of steadiness in the composition and properties of the internal environment of an organism allows it to have free life. Metabolism. Living beings use energy to maintain homeostasis and life. That means they must take components from the external environment, transform it, and then use it for the benefit. Growth. Work implies the incorporation of new biomolecules into the organism, which is synthesized for that purpose. Reproduction. To perpetuate their species, individuals must reproduce themselves. Adaptation, ability, and evolution. If the environment changes, the organisms that live in it must transform themselves to adapt to change. That means that if you don't change or if you don't adapt, you will die. And I'm also going to talk about the differences between eukaryotic and prokaryotic cells. Cell types can be divided into two, prokaryotic and eukaryotic cells. In here I'm going to show you the main characteristics of each one.
Okay, so first I'm going to talk about the prokaryotic cell. First, we have the ribosomes. Then here we can see the plasmid, the villi, the capsule, we can also notice the cell wall, that is the blue one. Then we can see the plasma membrane. Then we can see the nucleus, that is the DNA. And finally, we can see the flagellum. Okay, so then I'm going to talk about the eukaryotic cell. First, we can see the nucleus. Then the nucleolus. Then the vacuole, the rough endoplasmic reticulum, the smooth endoplasmic reticulum, the centrole, the plasma membrane, the vesicle formation, the Golgi apparatus, the lysosome, the mitochondrion, the cilia, the cytoplasm.
I'm going to talk to you about the story of the microscope, the cell, and the cell theory. But for comprehend the cell theory, you first have to learn about the invent that allows us to see very tiny objects invisible for the human eye. I am talking about the microscope. History of the microscope began with the magnifying lenses, which led us to the invention of the compound microscope, which combines more than one glasses to see very tiny objects in increased sizes. But no one can say with certainty who created this amazing invent. Some like to attribute it to the guy who pioneered the telescope, Galileo Galilei, but many others give the credit to father and son Hans and Zacharias Janssen, who in the late 1500s were working as eyeglass lancers at a time where eyeglasses were like a new iPhone or something like that because everyone wanted. Perhaps what we can assure is that the microscope was invented at the final of the 16th century and beginning of the 17th century, and the first person who named this invent as microscope was Giovanni Febber. Perhaps of this amazing invention, it seems like the Jensen didn't see the potential for the world of science of his microscope. Instead, it was Robert Hooke who, in the 1665, who first used the microscope for scientific purposes. The microscope of the Jensens were up to 3 to 9 times for increasing the size, and the Hooke achieved magnifications up to 50 times. Years later, Anton van Leeuwenhoek achieved a new technique to create lenses that make him able to reach magnifications up to 200. But it was not until the 19th century that scientists were able to perfect the microscope, and since then it became an amazing and handy tool, very important for the world of science. As I mentioned it before, Robert Hooke was the first person who used the microscope for scientific purposes. Here is where he linked the story of the microscope with the history of the cells, because he observed the bark of a oak and the tiny compartments he saw remind him like a honeycomb. So he named this essential unit of life as cell. But what he saw was only dead vegetal cells. It was Leeuwenhoek then who observed very precisely and detailed the cell with the lenses that he had been created. Um, it was until the 1830 that the other Schwann and Matthias Schleiden who proposed what will become in the first postulate of what we know now as the cell theory, and it says the cell is the elemental unit of plants and animals, and is the essential basis of life processes. From here, many scientific discover numerous things like the nucleus, the mitochondria, etc. And all these discoveries create later the establishment of what we know as the cell theory, which is composed by four postulates, and it says the first one: all living things are made up of cells and the products these cells generate. The number two says that every cells come from a pre-existing cell. Number three says that all vital functions take place in the cell, and one cell is enough to generate life. And the last one says that cells contain hereditary information for the control of its development, growth, reproduction, and transmission to
Let's
the
move
next.
on to the cellular transport. Cellular transport is the process when anything that has to enter or leave the cell has to pass through the membrane. And all of this includes the nutrients that the cell needs or the things that she doesn't need, the things that it's a wasting for her, like the hormones. This process can be classified by the amount of molecules that are transported in the cell. The first type of transportation is the active transportation. Active transportation is called like this because it spends energy by moving the cells. It happens by moving the cells from a low concentration to a high concentration. By doing this, it is against their concentration gradient. As molecules are against the gradient, they cannot transport alone, so they will need a carrier protein. A carrier protein take the molecule and move it through the membrane. These molecules are usually called pumps because this like kind of pump the molecule from low to high. A good example of this is our nerve cells. Our nerve cells are aka our neurons. These things have to send messages to our brain, but it couldn't happen if we didn't have our active transportation. On the other hand, on the passive transportation, the cell does not use energy and also it doesn't go against the gradient. So it's all the opposite to the active transportation. Pretty easy. Although passive can look a little bit easier, it divides into more classifications. The first one that I'm going to talk about is the simple diffusion. On simple diffusion, the molecules cross the lipid bilayer. It has some rules also. On simple diffusion, it's like you can't pass if you don't have your IFE card. For example, let's say that gases have an IFE card and they can pass freely through everything they want. For the other molecules, for example, small molecules that are polar and aren't charged electrically can pass just in small quantities. Let's say that those ones that have like 17 years. And the other one are the large molecules that are polar and that also are not charged electrically. They are they can pass, but just in minimal quantities, maybe also 16 years when you say like that you already look like 18. But ions that are charged electrically can never pass through there. Maybe a child, I don't know. The other time is facilitated diffusion. The cellular transportation depends on the proteins that are on the membrane. They can form channels or another complex ways to transport. For example, we have the voltage-dependent channel. This channel is opened by the charge in the potential of the membrane. We also have the ligand-dependent. This opens by a specific molecule. And the last one is the moving-dependent. A mechanical stimulus is the thing that will make them open. The last type of passive transportation is the ultrafiltration and dialysis. This process is when water and another solids pass through the membrane, but they go due with an hydrostatic pressure with them. When the transportation through the membrane is in large quantities and has an energy expenditure, it is classified by the endocytosis and exocytosis. On endocytosis, the cell brings molecules into her. It has three types. The first type is pinocytosis. Pinocytosis is known as the drinking of the water because it has molecules in suspension. Another type is phagocytosis. On this process, we can call it like the eating of the cell because the cell incorporates lots of molecules in large quantities and even whole cells. Last type is the receiver-mediated endocytosis. Here we have a receiver to which a specific molecule bind to later be incorporated into the cytoplasm. Now on exocytosis, we have the secretion of material produced by the cell, and it also classifies in different types. The first type is regulator. It's when the cell receives a signal to release all the contents. And the other one is constitutive. On this process, the secretion is continuous as we on the saliva. We are continuously secreting saliva. Now I'm going to talk about the levels of organization. We know that everything in this planet is classified by something. Now I will tell you how living beings are classified. Our first level is the atom. The atom fuses with the other atoms and forms molecules and biomolecules. The biomolecules constitute organelles and structures. These two things move together and constitute the unit of life, the cell. A set of cells specialized in a specific function form the tissue. The tissues form organs. Organs are classified into systems, and in a multicellular organism, all these systems create the individual. Now, a bunch of individuals of the same species form a population. A community, or the biosymbiosis, is made by a bunch of populations. If we group all of the populations with the physical environment, we have an ecosystem. And finally, the total set of ecosystems on Earth makes our biosphere. Thank you. My name was...
The next topic we're going to talk about is about organ systems. An organ system is a group of anatomical structures that work together to perform a specific function or task. Now we can talk about the organ systems. First, we have the cardiovascular system. The main function of it is to transport oxygen, nutrients, and other substances to the cell. Also to remove waste, carbon dioxide, and other substances from the cell. Next, we have the lymphatic system, which is the one that helps to defend the body against infections and diseases. The next one we have is the digestive system. The main function of it is to process food and also to absorb nutrients, minerals, vitamins, and water from it. Next, we have the endocrine system, which is the one that provides communication within of the body. It also directs long-term changes in other organ systems to maintain the homeostasis. Next system we have is the indumentary. This system provides protection against injuries and loss of fluids, as well as physical defenses against infections from microorganisms. Next system we have is the musculary. It provides movement, support, and heat production. Now the nervous system, which is the one that collects, transfers, and processes information. Next, the reproductive system. This system produces gametes, which are the sex cells, and also sexual hormones. The ultimate goal of the reproductive system is to produce offspring. The next system we're going to talk about is the respiratory system. This system delivers air to places where the gaseous exchange occurs. Now we're going to the skeletal system. This system supports and protects the soft tissues of the body. Now, the urinary system. It eliminates excess of water, salts, and also waste products of blood and body. Now, for the last system, is the immune system. This system defends the body against microbiological pathogens and other diseases. The next topic we're going to talk about is homeostasis. The term homeostasis comes from the union of two Greek words, which in Spanish are translated as homoios and stasis. The first one, which is homoios, stands for equal or similar, and the second one, which is stasis, means state or stability. This preservation of internal conditions is achieved thanks to metabolism. The balance is reached thanks to the mechanisms of self-regulation that every living being has. The negative feedback regulates most of the functions of the body. One of the few examples of positive feedback we have is the secretion of milk during lactation.
Many people have the wrong idea about what health is. They think that health is only the state of being free of illness, but it's actually more than that. Health is a state of complete social, physical, and mental well-being. Sickness. We can say that sickness is a complete opposite concept of health. It occurs when the homeostasis in your body is broken, so the equilibrium disappears. There are many things that can cause a disease or to be sick, but the three principal causes are virus, parasites, and healthy lifestyle. In simple words, it is a way of living that lowers the risk of being seriously ill. There are a lot of factors that affect your lifestyle, such as culture, family, works, country, or even age. But there is always something that you can do to improve your lifestyle and make it healthier. For example, exercise regularly, breathe deeply, take breaks during the day, and eat balanced, etc.